I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The man suspected of trying to kill former President Trump during a golf outing yesterday, making a brief court appearance earlier today, charged with 2 federal firearms counts for now.
These 2 charges are the quickest way to keep him behind bars. They are possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. That means scratched off.
Fox's David Spund. Trump was golfing with friends at Trump International when Secret Service agents spotted a rifle along a fence line, 1 hole ahead of the president, and fired on the would-be assassin.
He made a quick escape from the Trump golf course, but according to a criminal complaint, he was discovered on I-95 after a witness spotted him getting into the car and took down his license plate.
The FBI says that plate was stolen and belonged to a different car. 58-year-old Ryan Ruth has a felony record in North Carolina, where he spent most of his life. He's believed to have voted for Trump once before later describing him as a buffoon over the Capitol riot and for backing out of the Iran nuclear deal. Trump railing against Democrat rhetoric in one social media post.
America suffered too many times the tragedy of an assassin's bullet. It solves nothing.
President Biden, during a previously scheduled event today, saying there's no place for political violence and that America resolves differences peacefully at the ballot box. A Pakistani man charged with plotting to have U.S. political leaders killed pleads not guilty in federal court, believed to have been potentially targeting Trump over the killing of a top Iranian general, but also possibly other politicians on both sides of the aisle. He could face life in prison if convicted. New highs on Wall Street. The Dow up 228 at the bell to a record close, 41,622. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, Donald Trump Jr. here. Central banks are buying gold at record amounts, and the trend is accelerating in 2024. They see the writing on the wall. The dollar is failing. Is gold the answer for you too? To find out, get a free info kit from Birch Gold Group by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust, right now.
Message and data rates may apply.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Texas puts a target on a Venezuelan gang that's expanding its reach in the U.S.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott declaring the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua a foreign terrorist organization that he says under the Biden-Harris administration's border policies has expanded its violence in the U.S.
TDA is notorious for their brutal violence and murder, and their kidnapping, extortion, bribery, and trafficking of drugs, weapons, and even humans.
The proclamation allowing the full weight of the Texas government to halt TDA operations, seize their property, and to keep members of TDA in jail. The Venezuelan gang that's become the subject of more than 100 police investigations across the country. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
In July, the Biden administration designated TDA as a significant transnational criminal organization, announcing steps aimed at stopping the spread, including enhanced vetting and screening at the border. 4 private astronauts are back on Earth after making history with the first spacewalks not done by astronauts from a government space agency. Entrepreneur Jared Isaacman, who founded the Polaris Dawn mission, predicts that one day tens of thousands of people will be working in space, on the moon and on Mars.
While critics say the cost of his mission would be better spent on Earth, Isaacman insists it's not a binary choice. In other words, you can explore the cosmos and build children's hospitals at the same time. During the mission, crew members did a book reading and a space-to-ground violin performance to raise funds for several charities.
Fox's Jonathan Seri. Recapping a record day on Wall Street, the Dow up 228 points to close at a new high, 41,622. The S&P also higher but shy of a record. The NASDAQ down 91 points. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
You think football is still fun?
Yes.
Sir?
Yes. No.
No?
Sir. Well, it was fun.
Not anymore, though, is it? Is it?
No, not right now.
No, it's not fun anymore. Not even a little bit.
Wrong. No.
Here comes the
one and only Jay Lane.
We talk about everything. If you guys want the real talk,
here we go.
In this season, guys. Touchdown, Illinois! If you win games, it takes care of everything. That's what I'm excited about.
Begging up the middle and ahead to the 15.
First and 10 for the Illini. Football is such an emotional game. The stakes are just higher.
Illinois upsets Maryland on homecoming.
You never know what's going to happen in a given game.
Lon got off the ledge. He's in the penthouse.
Come join me.
He's in the jacuzzi hanging out. He believes that this is the team. The opposite of last year. We are high on the hopium.
One other thing.
I love the war chant.
Do it. Do it.
Let's go!
Hey, what's up? It's The Drive with Sandpiper, ESPN Radio 93.5. You know the music, you know the intro, you know what time it is. It's a Monday, Jay Lehman hour. 3-0 Illini, a ranked football team, number 24 in the AP Top 25.
That sounds so good.
And boy, this Friday, gentlemen, number 24 Illinois at number 22 Nebraska to open up Big Ten play. How we feeling, Jay? What's up?
Let's go. Guys, we've been 3-0 many times in our life, okay?
No.
I mean, 2011 was the last time we started 6-0, then went 6-6. The Zucker got let go. I think it's the third time, maybe the second time in like 20 years or something. It's something crazy stat-wise. And this is only like the second time in like 20 years, third time in 20 years we've been undefeated in the non-con, two of them under Brett Bielema.
Right.
So you guys, we can't take for granted. I know there's issues with this Illinois football team. You can't take for granted a win against any FCS team. We've been good against those, but against a Power 4 team like Kansas, even though it's at home, and against a Group of 5 team like Central Michigan, we've seen way too many of those games go south. And so I'm excited for this football team to be 3-0.
There have been some maddening Maction games in the past. I mean, as recent as last year where you barely beat Toledo, you lost to Eastern Michigan, you lost to Western Michigan a couple times.
We lost to Ohio in 2006, the last second field goal.
Yeah.
Frank Solich, right? We beat us. And so, guys, nothing is guaranteed when you're an Illinois football fan. Right?
That is so true. I want to apologize to everybody that joined us Friday because I kept saying 2013, I think, was the last time that we were 3-0.
Yeah.
And then to everybody at the tailgate lot, I apologize because I kept saying 2013, but I've got that out of the way.
Yeah, Beckman could have never gone 3-0.
No. Here's what I want to not apologize for is Illinois being 3-0 because I was about ready to tell you, I was about ready to say, well, it's another prove-it game against Nebraska because you got this and this and this. Sure. But, I don't care that Kansas then turned around and got beat by UNLV, who's on the cusp of the top 25.
UNLV also beat Houston. So, UNLV is actually a good football team.
I agree. So, there's still a way that we look at this Nebraska game and say, okay, well, they've got a really good defensive front. You still need to prove it against them.
Sure.
But just let's be happy you're 3-0 and ranked. That's an awesome feeling.
Let's be happy. All the stuff that we never get to celebrate, let's celebrate. Being able to throw the ball downfield.
Amen.
Guys, we have been able to throw the ball downfield for years. to some bona fide big play receivers on the edge that have all Big Ten potential. I mean, Pat Bryant's been like an All-American right now through 3 games. We don't have I was talking about Luke earlier today with somebody else. Luke doesn't have one thing that's great about him, but I believe he's good at almost everything. Throws a very catchable ball, has been accurate, has good mobility.
Yes, he does.
He's not a burner, right? He's a leader as far as, hey, when we need to go get points, we go get points, right? He seems to have some intangibles to him, so he's really good. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the Big Ten.
I do too.
Like, am I trading him for Hudson Card right now? No, I know we were in a battle for him for Purdue, and that was the 2 guys we had. I like him. Well, you got Dylan Gabriel, you got Drew Aller. Dude, Michigan. I love that Michigan has a quarterback issue. First of all, Michigan going to this season is 41-2 over three seasons. Think about it. Have you ever imagined being 41-2 as a program?
No.
My question is this: why can't you go and spend $5 million in the portal to make sure you have a quarterback? You see all these guys. You got to walk on. You have Alex Orji who can't throw.
Yeah.
Like in the spring, we just won a national championship. Go spend $5 million in portal. Ohio State spent 20. Right? Go spend 5 to get a quarterback. Oops, we didn't. And now we might be an 8 or 9 win team and get boat raced by the Buckeyes come week 12 of the season. It just doesn't make sense to me. Other than I want to say hi to Marcus in Colorado. He says, "Fire it up, boys! 3-0, let's go." Big Def, he is a consistent guy.
Big time.
He thinks we have 8-win talent, but we're halfway this year to the 6 wins.
Yep.
We've got Benny. He says hi to all of us. He's proud of Brett Bielema and the Illini. It's great to be 3-0 and 3 victories. Guys, I'm excited. Let me get the sponsors in real quick. SEFQ, guys, SEFQ.com. You need a car loan, SEFQ. You need a business loan, you got to talk to SEFQ. They're our title sponsor. Matt Isbell, a great lender. A&R Mechanical. Guys, I messed up the website last week. That's on me. Well, I messed up the year 2013.
Yes.
For the year, I messed up. It's AR-MECH.com. Yes, I know how to spell mechanical.
We corrected it for you.
A&R Mechanical. I have pipes clean me up on the back end. Guys, they build iconic structures like the Assembly Hall, the Memorial Stadium Addition. I can go on and on and on. Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, and of course, Long Branch Steakhouse. Now, I can take a breath now, but I'm excited about being 3-0. Let's go.
We'll break down what there was to take away from a 30-9 victory against Central Michigan in the Chippewas. You mentioned it there with Altmaier, Pat Bryant with 2 touchdowns, giving him 4 on the young season. And I wanted to get into some of Luke's stats here. 69%, that is nice, a completion percentage as he sits there right now. 6 touchdowns, no picks. He's taking care of the football.
Sure.
How much does that, in addition to his weapons, give you confidence or belief that in a tough game on the road against the Lincoln, Nebraska sold-out crowd and the Huskers, what you're going to see, obviously Penn State after that, but just the form through 3 games for Luke and company, how much does that give you confidence that Illinois can be competitive and have a chance in these upcoming games?
When you have a quarterback in college football, you have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
We have not had a chance for the last decade in many games because we didn't have a quarterback. You get 10 points down midway through the second quarter. It's like, there's no way we're coming back in this game, right? So you're like, okay, we have a chance. What I like is 69%, but they're not just all pitch and catch throws. I mean, some of these are deep balls he's throwing.
Right.
He's making good decisions, taking care of the football. He hasn't been, I think he's been decently protected. There's been some issues with protection. He's made the smart play of getting rid of it. I'm really looking forward to how do they respond on the road when something bad happens. This Nebraska defense will make something bad happen, a fumble, a turnover. I guess we saw that against Kansas when Franklin fumbled, but a turnover. Will they respond? I think that's the moment, right? Now, we can talk about the run game. We can talk about the issues, but when you have 2 guys like Zachary Franklin or Pat Bryant, when we really need a score, it's obvious to everybody watching and in that stadium where the ball's going. It seems like the 7-yard out to Franklin is open all day. It's like 7-Eleven, open all the time, right? I mean, it seems like Pat Bryant on the RPO slant, he's going to win that battle.
Yeah.
It seems like Pat Bryant has turned 50-50 into 90-10 on his pass. So it seems like we've taken the leap on that. Do we need a couple more weapons? I'd love to see Colin Dixon get some more action or Kanari Wilcher at the slot position. Most of the receptions last year were at the slot position. Right now we're in the outside receiver. I think they're going to move Zachary Franklin into that into that slot receiver some, and maybe put Ashton Hollins and Malik Elzy on the field to get 3 big bodies out there. But Franklin's really wilding, getting space. So it's not just Luke. It is, hey, he's throwing better deep balls than I think DeVito at one point was 70% completion rate, maybe a little bit over 70, but they were just slants and dump offs.
Sure.
He's throwing some deep balls.
What do you think is making the combo work of Franklin and Bryant? Obviously, you got 2 veteran receivers. Bryant had flashes last year, had 6-7 touchdowns,
Yeah.
and then Zakari was well established at UTSA, was one of the more productive receivers out there in the country. But what do you think that duo presents to a defense that allows those guys to complement each other? At least to this point, they've both been very productive.
Well, I think they're a little bit different. Zakari Franklin's by no means a burner, but he's got incredible hands. He catches everything. He never lets a ball get into his body. First off, he's got great hands. He's really wily with his route running. He kind of knows the head fakes, when to stop. He knows when to slow it up. Great tempo as a route runner, and really has really good chemistry with Luke, and Luke really trusts him. I think Pat's a little bit different. They're good blockers. Pat's really physical. Like, it's hard to jam Pat. He kind of plays angry. Well, I had a chance to, I'm not name dropping here, I had a chance to play with Adrian Peterson, Minnesota Vikings. That dude ran angry. If you remember watching him run, we used to say he used to run angry. Pat Bryant kind of plays receiver angry with an edge, like the way he blocks, the way he gets off, the way he'll go up for a ball. And Pat right now is our best vertical threat. Not only is he able to beat someone deep, he's able to go up and get the ball in a jump ball scenario. And that's really where I had beef with him last year. He would touch the ball 2 or 3 times a game in the end zone, maybe come down with one of them. He's starting to play at a consistent level that makes him an all Big Ten caliber guy.
He's making money right now, right?
Oh, my gosh, right?
That catch he made where he had to be physical with the defender and then break it and get into the end zone was so well done.
Yeah, he runs angry. I mean, he's tough, and he smells the end zone. He's given great effort. Even in Kansas, he was able to almost get a tutty in Kansas by diving in. He's trying to get to the 1 yard line, but man, I love the way that he plays. I think Colin Dixon has some benefit as well as being a bigger guy in the slot, not necessarily a quick guy as like an Isaiah Williams, but I want to see him get some more reps as well.
I agree. Now, the secondary, if you had to grade the secondary so far, A+, right? Is there anything that you're seeing? I'm not trying to make this a negative question. Is there anything you're seeing that you would maybe worry a little about down the road, or is this secondary just showing up game in and game out and you have no issues with it?
I think the bigger issue I have is that we got pressure this week, right?
Right.
But if we're not able to stop the run consistently, what's going to happen is this. We're going to bring Xavier Scott into the box more from his corner, from his star or what they call nickel position, right? We're going to bring Matthew Bailey in the box more. We're going to creep up Miles Scott because we're like, okay, we really got to stop the run.
Sure.
That's going to be issues because then we're going to leave our guys on the island and they're going to go. So this is what I'm concerned about. We get into Big Ten play. Maybe not so much Nebraska because they're not that heavy run, but Penn State likes to run the ball with Nicholas Singleton and some of the other guys they have, is if we can't stop the run with our front seven, we'll start to creep up and bring an extra guy. And that's the big issue I have. What's so interesting about this football team, and Brett says it all the time, good teams, they stop the run, they defend the run, they run the ball, and they cover kicks. We've not really done the first two. Haven't really run the ball great, and we haven't stopped the run. And that's usually who the winner is. But turnovers and our quarterback play and our receiver play have made up for that, right? But I'm concerned when we get into the game when somebody can chop away like Kansas was doing in the run game. They got away from it. And then if Nebraska, who's given like 2 yards of carrying, got a very good front, can stop the run, and everybody knows that Luke's going to have to throw and let's pin our ears back, we could have some issues. And so that's where I think the hammer might drop is when we can't stop the run, we bring up the run, then the play action hits, and we're leaving Caleb Patterson, Terrence Brooks, Torrey Cox on an island, and that's when you see big plays happen.
Fair enough.
Jay, I wanted to hit on Illinois' inability to really establish that run game on the offensive side. But on the note of running the ball, before I don't want to move too far away, you mentioned AP all day.
Yes.
You guys have any memorable exchanges or meetings there?
Well, first of all, he took so many hits.
Did you angrily tackle him?
Here's the deal. Guys. I was like, if there was a you ever look at a roster like, who's that guy? Like, I've never heard it because he never plays. That was me on the Minnesota Vikings. You're like, who is this guy? Like, I mean, never got anybody to interview me on the media. It's just like, I was that guy, okay? So rule number one, that guy, don't hit the star player. Now, there were 2 rules. Played with a really talented team. You had Brett Favre on that team. You had Sidney Rice, Percy Harvin. You had Adrian Peterson on defense. We had Jared Allen. We had Antoine Winfield Sr., excuse me. So we had some really, really good football players on that team. Chad Greenway. I could go on, but when it made it to the NFC Championship game, but you never would have tackled Brett Favre, Percy Harvin, and especially Adrian Peterson. Because he's taking so many hits as it is. Like, there was never a time where he said, yeah, it's a good idea to hit that guy in practice, right? But I can tell you, as a running back, I mean, as a linebacker, I've never seen a running back built like that guy. He was probably everything of 6'2", shredded, and 230, but had breakaway speed. If you go look at the highlights of him like as a freshman in Oklahoma, it's insane. Some of the stuff he does.
He's big compared to guys now.
He was like a different era of that. It's like he's like the Bo Jackson of our. I grew up and I was born in '85, so Bo Jackson, obviously was playing when I was like, as Coach Zook would say, I was, pooping yellow, basically. I don't know. He always used to tell me that, but
pooping yellow
in a different word, but he was just built different, and so he ran angry. Basically, I never got a chance really to hit him. So there you go.
Well, that would be a good excuse if you're going back to your linebackers coach. Not saying you needed it. Be like, we're not hitting him anyway. So I had to give him a little bit.
I will tell you this: I'm playing Minnesota senior year against Illinois versus Minnesota, and the Chargers are there. They come in 2 days early on sometimes we were coming from the West Coast. They're playing Minnesota. I see Ron Rivera in the elevator.
Nice.
Okay. And he's the D coordinator for the Chargers. Long story short, that's like the game-breaking 283-yard game I think that AP had, or AD, they called him all day, had against the Chargers. But long story short is I used that later on. I was desperate for a job, and I called Ron Rivera. I had Ron Rivera's number. He'd given me that number during like the process of the draft and different. And I was like, hey, I really need a job. Could I get on practice squad? I just called him up. Because
that's cool.
Like, I got no shame in that. Like, what's he going to say? No. He's like, well, I did like your college tape. You got any NFL tape? No, don't look at that. That's pretty bad. But remember I saw you in the elevator, right? So
you remember that,
guys,
right?
You got to tune into ESPN 93.5 at 3. You get stories that you just will not get anywhere else.
I love it.
And he gave me a chance. I did make it on the practice squad out there. So kudos to Ron Rivera. I owe him a lot.
What I noticed, Pipes, is that Adrian Peterson never really talked to Jay. That's what I noticed out of all of that. It's fine. That's fine.
I did pick up his workout card for him one time. Like, I was on the ground. I was like, guys, that was my value out there, okay? I was a good tackling dummy, good scout team guy.
There you go.
Went hard. Some coaches would offer me money to start fights, and, because that's all. I just realized I was a pawn in the NFL, basically.
You would start a fight? Like it's fixed like a hockey
I've been offered money in the NFL to during practice, hey, we're not fired up, but can you go pop somebody? So I just there was a power play, and on a power play the lineman pulls around, and if you can hit the lineman before he turns, you can really wallop him. And I just went head to head on a guy, and he was like, why did you just do that? Hey, listen, Rudy, I don't need you doing this. I don't need you to do this. I know you're trying to pay for. I know you're trying to you make like $500 a week on practice squad, but I actually got an NFL career.
Coach made me do it.
And so guys, I did all this stuff.
That's awesome.
Now, this is interesting. We're talking about this stuff on a day we went 3-0. Usually this is
my fault.
This is usually the fodder that we get into when we're like 0-3.
Right.
Hey, how about this comment though? I saw I was reading the paper and I saw that on Thursday, Brett makes a comment at the quarterback club that Illinois is number one in basketball NIL. Pipes, that's because of you, but number one in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. Out of 14 teams last year, Illinois is ranked number one in, I guess, NIL money or handed out or whatever. I mean, I thought it was all Jeff Alexander's ties to Europe. They brought us. I thought it was Antigua and what they do. I mean, it's kind of like the marketing ploy. I didn't know there was any money involved. Okay, but not a knock on those guys. I'm just saying, guys, there's money involved. Number two is this: is that Illinois football was 14 out of 14 on NIL.
Ooh. Wow.
In the Big Ten.
I did not see this
comment. You're saying that Northwestern, you're saying Purdue, you're saying Minnesota, the fearsome three that we think we're better than, we're paying for more players than us? So Brett makes a good point. We better get our NIL up, and nothing's going to get our NIL up more by being a ranked opponent on the road, on national TV. Let's go. And we got a big opportunity to do that.
Well, if we were guessing or trying to give NIL to the top players on this roster going into the year, I think one of the first, if not the first guy you might hand it to, is Caden Fagan.
Sure.
And he's had a tough time getting going here the last couple of weeks, and particularly, I know that the offensive line is part of that, but the fact that you look at his stat line against Central Michigan, 10 carries, 25 yards, did get in the end zone, but on the whole, Illinois about 30 carries for 137 yards, less than 5 yards a carry, and really in the first half in particular did not get going. So how concerning is that, and what are you seeing to where a team that we know wants to run the ball isn't having a ton of success doing it?
I think it's extremely concerning. I think
Ditto.
you're not going to win games in the Big Ten if we can't run the football better. There's 3 run plays that you really got to be good at, and everybody has them. That's the lead or ISO play. That's the power play, and that's the counter play. They're all run by everybody. And if you can't run those 3 plays, you got to really rely on. And there's the inside zone and the outside zone. Those 4 or 5 plays are really what you're going to see. People run them out of different formations. They dress them up differently. You can run out of pistol. You can run out of a dot back, which is under center. You can run out of shotgun. We got to switch up something. I don't think that I do think our tackles are playing at a high level. I think Melvin Priestley and J.C. Davis, for the most part, are playing at a high level. I think they want better effort out of Zy Chrysler, Josh Geske, and Kreutz. Like, I just feel like there's too much penetration and too many missed assignments in the heart of that defense, and they're getting too much penetration, which knocks off our linemen as far as when they pull around, and it's making Caden Fagan cut before the line of scrimmage. If you have to cut before the line of scrimmage as any running back, but especially a bigger running back, it's going to be a loss or no gain. If you can get that guy to run the ball and not cut before the line of scrimmage because you get great push up front, he's going to fall forward for 4 or 5 yards. We haven't had that with Caden Fagan, and if you can't run the ball up the middle, it just makes everything more difficult. It makes it getting to the edge more difficult. It makes your play action more difficult. And so I'm worried when we get into a game like Nebraska and they know we have to throw to move the football, are they going to pin their ears back? And that's when you get your quarterback hurt, right? Like, is Caleb Williams going to survive getting hit, sacked 7 times in the next? No, he's not, guys. Hello, he's not. Mm-hmm. But you got to be more. What did Swift have? 14 carries for 18 yards or something like that?
It.
Like, guys, it's just not going to work.
Right.
None of that stuff's going to work.
That was painful last night.
It's painful.
If it is those 3 guys on the inside being the center and the 2 guards, if that's mainly the biggest issue with running,
sure.
What our defense is doing, and especially like in Nebraska, who's good against the run anyway, what are they doing to expose that?
Well, first off, Nebraska has a guy in Nash Hutmacher, or Noah Hutmacher. They call him the polar bear. He's huge, right? And he's probably the best defensive lineman they'll see until they see Mason Graham, the defensive tackle for Michigan.
Yeah.
Really 2 good nose tackles. They won't need to do anything. Right now, they're looking at the tape like, we believe one-on-one we can beat these guys, right? And so I think you won't see them play anything but base defense, which is scary because that's going to make us really throw into a coverage that they're going to be ready for us. So, now, do we have some answers? Yeah, the RPO game has been really good. I mean, the 7-yard out to Zachary Franklin has been open every time we've done it. Do I think that Barry Lunny tries to take shots? Yeah, we saw the flea flicker. The one where Pat Bryant had a motion penalty was going to be a shot downfield. We get into that alumni zone, that 40-40, where Lon gets the big tickets, right? is like that, and he's not the alumni because he's a Saluki, but where the big dogs sit. That's where Lunny and all offensive coordinators love to take a shot, because if you take a shot there and you complete it, you score.
Yes.
You don't want to have a 40-yard play from your 20 to the other team's 40. You still got 40 yards to go.
Right.
So you want your shots to really count. Not that chunk plays don't matter. They do. And so I just really believe that Nebraska, if both teams show up like we've seen the first 3 games, they don't have to do anything different to stop the run against what Illinois is doing.
Where have you been at? I know we got to catch a break here soon, but where have you been at on Barry Lunny? It feels like, and I know from a fan standpoint, and far more X's and O's and the nitty gritty of football than the layman out here, not the other kind of layman.
Yeah.
But it seems like fans, when things aren't going well, they like to blame the play calling, they like to blame the coordinators.
Sure.
It's hard when you don't have the offensive line doing what you want them to do, but there's been some frustration, I know, from the fan base in his play calling at times, in particular the middle of the Kansas game and then early on against Central Michigan. What have you seen from him? Is there something he can do differently to make it more unpredictable or get some things going as far as that goes?
First of all, I always want to look at player development when I judge a coordinator. Has Luke Altmaier developed? I would say yes. Have the receivers developed under the new coach Justin Stepp? I would say yes. George McDowell gets some credit for that.
Sure.
Right? I thought Thad Ward has been here a year or 2. I think, again, I mean, he's here before.
Right.
But we've seen the running backs have 4 guys they feel good about. Some of them are playing at a high level. Khalil Valentine's playing. I'm concerned really about the offensive line. I don't think the development's been there. We have 2 transfers that tackle that are great, but the guys that have been here, Chrysler, Geske, and Kreutz, and we don't know, and there was a text here by Marcus in Colorado says, is Kreutz healthy? Yeah, he was out 3 or 4 weeks. in the preseason. That could be effective. We don't know. All the injuries are not disclosed to us. We don't know who's playing good. And then you have this thing of Brett Bielema wants to be a run-first coach. I think Barry Lunny, and I'm totally speculating here, I don't know this, I think he wants to air it out more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have this pressure, and Harry Hiestand and Ron Turner had this more. Hiestand wanted to run the ball all the time as the O-line coach, and he would call some run plays himself, but Ron Turner wanted to throw the ball. So you always have this push and pull, and you need to run the ball because you got to eat up clock and rest guys and control the game. So I think there's a push. Brett Bielema, if there's one surprise that I have of his tenure is we haven't run the ball great. Yes, Chase Brown almost led the league in rushing or was second or was first or whatever, but we were only like fifth in the Big Ten in rushing. Remember, Rod Smith led the nation in rushing as offensive corner. We led the nation, the Big Ten. We led the Big Ten in rushing in 2006 and 2007. So we haven't been like in the top three of rushing. That is surprising to me. Some of that is like, okay, we got to get the O-line right, and it's only year 4, and sometimes that takes time. But as far as Barry Lunny, what I like about Barry is I think we were on him about 2 years ago, the red zone issues. We've taken care of a lot of the red zone issues, right? So much so when we get in the red zone, we usually score. When we're like high red zone, we've struggled way up at 30, 40, and 50-yard field goals. I think he takes enough shots downfield. I think for years we didn't take enough shots downfield.
No, I agree.
So we've done that. I think he's trying to manufacture runs, but again, if you can't run the 5 basic run plays, power, counter, lead, inside and outside zone, you got to result to gimmicks. We have a nice little pitch package that sometimes work when we have some speed, but we've also got issues that we don't have a lot of burners at tailback, especially with Aiden Lawfrey hurt. We have Khalil Valentine, but that's it. He's a true freshman. So we got to either change the splits, change the snap count, other than just being more physical. That's the easy thing to say. Do you change the formation? Do you change where the back's lined up? There's a lot of different things you can switch.
Hit the sponsors one more time, Jay.
Making this happen. Yes, CEFQ is coming to town, guys. They are from Peoria. Used to stand for Caterpillar's Employee Federal Credit Union. Now it's Citizens Equity First Federal Credit Union. Guys, they are awesome for home loans, business loans, and car loans. A&R Mechanical, they have been around over 99 years. They'll be 100 years in 2025. AR-MECH.com. Design, build, and maintain. They do it all. A&R Mechanical. They are the gold standard for mechanicals. For a mechanical company here in Champaign-Urbana and Champaign County. Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, home of the free 10-year protection plan. And, of course, Long Branch Steakhouse. Don't forget the fried pickles.
A lot of people have already weighed in. We appreciate it on the Max Twin City Recycling text line. If you got a question for Jay or comment about the 30-9 victory against Central Michigan, or in particular, as we're going to transition forward, the slate ahead, that game on Friday, which is a nationally broadcast on Fox against a ranked team, ranked versus ranked, coming up on Friday. We'll dive into that coming up next. 217-359-2255. Question, comment about that. We're due for a break. We'll be back with more in the Jay Lehman Hour when we return. This is The Drive.
At ABC Heating and Air, it's our promise to help you always be comfortable. Do you need rescued because you're burning hot? Do you need rescued because your air is shot? Call ABC Heating and Air at 352-5400 and let us rescue you from the heat. ABC Heating and Air, 352-5400. Can't you see you need to call me at ABC? Call ABC Heating and Air. That's ABC Heating and Air, 352-5400.
As Tapman's Towing celebrates 50 years of serving Central Illinois, we're always seeking good people to serve our great customers. Our team of expert tow professionals would like to interview others with CDLs, previous tow experience, or a strong interest in serving others. If you enjoy serving people, love working in the outdoors, and looking for a career, not just a job, we should talk soon. Do you have a strong desire but lack the experience? We should still talk. Visit our career page at tapmanstowing.com.
So when was the last time you saw a best deal guarantee?
You mean a promise that actually held up?
Right.
That some unknown online entity didn't want you to log in and download a code and then re-verify as you join some club.
Drives you nuts, I know.
And then once you purchase that set of steak knives...
Well, Dick Van Dyke Appliance World is a lot simpler. You find a verified great deal and they beat it. Just show them the deal you saw. A newspaper clipping or the online cart price will do, and then you're good.
At Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, it's one of those instances where you see a best deal guarantee and...
you get the best deal.
This is Dennis Reekin, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. Our exclusive 10-year protection plan comes free with most appliance purchases. Whether it's a GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, Bosch, or any of our 30 brands, I guarantee we will beat any competitor's deal. Wow!
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
At Rocket, we're looking to truly understand how to better help first-time home buyers. So we invited some to dinner to talk about their concerns of buying a home.
When you don't understand the process, you don't know what steps to take. I need someone to hold my hand and need a friend.
Money is just scary to begin with.
There's so many question marks. I wish there was like a home ownership coach out there, like a life coach.
Things got real. That's when an expert from Rocket stepped in.
My name's Austin. I'm an executive at Rocket.
What?
This has been an amazing conversation. We're doing a lot, but we can do more just listening to you today.
It's just nice to know that somebody out there is making an effort for us. Cheers.
Cheers.
We know buying a home is scary. Get personalized guidance at every step of the home buying process. Call 800-4ROCKET.
Rocket Mortgage LLC, NMLS number 3030, NMLSConsumerAccess.org, Equal Housing Lender, licensed in all 50 states.
Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola is your local furniture expert. They've been in business over 50 years and their sales team has over 150 years of experience. They carry everything you need to furnish your whole house with top name brands such as Broyhill, Lane, Ashley, Smith Brothers, Bemco mattresses, and Mohawk carpeting. Their showroom is huge with over 30,000 square feet of furniture. Stop by Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola today or visit kelseyfurniture.com, Kelsey, Kelsey Furniture, or like them on Facebook. Kelsey Furniture, quality for less.
Golden Nugget Casino is your winning destination for fun and fortune. Since our grand opening, we paid out over $23 million in jackpots to more than 10,000 winners. In July, more than 800 guests won jackpots totaling over $2 million. Golden Nugget Casino, the best place to win. Located just off I-74 at the Illinois-Indiana border in Danville. Not valid for any participant of the Illinois Gaming Board statewide voluntary self-exclusion program. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. It is the Jay Lehman Hour, as we have every Monday here on the drive. Talking about being ranked, Illinois has 4 of their next 5 opponents with a number next to their name.
Ooh.
So a big stretch. We've known this. It's a gauntlet of a 5-gamer. Purdue is in the middle of that, and Purdue, boy, they got shellacked by Notre Dame on Saturday.
And people were picking Purdue to beat Notre Dame after Notre Dame got beat by Northern.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is a side note. If you're Ryan Walters in year 2, wow, to do that, I could maybe see a year 1 kind of okay. I'm getting everything, but they paid some players in the portal as well. Here's the thing. You can go and get some 4-star guys, but they got to be the right 4-star position wise. How many people are getting 4- and 5-star guys out of the portal that are defensive linemen? You're not here, right? You're getting a receiver here and there. You're getting that. Go get it. Go get yourself a hog, a D lineman. Go get yourself a starting offensive tackle. Illinois was able to get J.C. Davis. That was a great snag. That was huge. But go get yourself a big Georgia-looking defensive lineman. Oh, wait. They're already getting paid $500,000 for Georgia, right? Or $1 million to play. They ain't going to leave. As Nick Saban said the first week of game day, I don't care if you got $20 million like Ohio State to spend in the portal. You're SOL if you don't spend it right. He said that on air.
Florida State apparently had $12 million, and they're 0-3.
So now this is the topic I want to get into a little bit. I know we're 3-0 and we're going off on everything. It is the college football hour. We have a little national flair today for you guys. There's a little bonus action for you. These guys, they go to Florida State. They're 0-3. They weren't recruited there initially. There are a bunch of transfers. DJU is a transfer. A bunch of different guys. Who's there to make them quit? To keep fighting and not quit, right? There's like you have to have this culture piece of like. Okay, and I'll talk a little basketball. We see these mid-majors, FAU be one of them a couple years back, right? That they have these guys that play 3, 4, 5 years together, have a chemistry. When does this chemistry piece, this culture piece, have to be weighed with? Oh, I got a portal guy here, right? That I got to bring up. Malik Elzy. Let's bring it back to Illinois football. Big time recruit out of Chicago that we get. Probably would start this year if we don't pick up Zachary Franklin in June in the portal. Malik Elzy could start a lot of Big Ten teams right now.
You would think.
Right? So how do we keep that bond of these are our recruits and these are our culture guys and mix them in? Obviously, it has been a dumpster fire at Florida State. Think about where they were the last game of the regular season. Jordan Travis then gets hurt. Maybe that was in the championship game. I can't remember. They're 13 or 13-0, 14-0. They don't get into. They get leapfrogged for the playoff. And then what ends up happening is they lose. They get killed by Georgia, which we knew was going to happen. And now they've lost 0-3 to Memphis, your old team, which you got promoted from, Mike Norvell.
Wow. That's right. I forgot about that.
Was that Memphis just beat you at home at, is it Doak Campbell Stadium or Doak Walker or something? I can't remember. It was some Doker.
Doak Campbell.
Beat you. It's just, man, it's bad ball at Florida State right now.
Lost at home to Boston College, too, and then Georgia Tech.
In Ireland,
yeah.
You've lost on multiple continents.
It's true.
to multiple mid-level ACC teams.
Right. That's
insane. You got to find that balance, right? I mean, Izzo is trying to go the opposite way and not have that portal dynamic where it's spoiling the well and not having the buy-in and whatnot.
Yeah.
But some of not going to the portal might cap how talented your roster is.
Tom Izzo is the Dabo Sweeney of college basketball.
Sure. Exactly. Yes.
And he's suffering for it.
Yes.
He's suffering for it. Guys, the game has changed. I can't just say, come here for 4 or 5 years, sit on the bench for a year or two, and you can play 2 or 3 years and be part of this Fighting Illini culture because the 2020s belong to the Illini. No, that stuff doesn't work. Like, what are you going to pay me to come? And I hate that in college football and at the Big Ten Network and at ESPN. ESPN talks a little bit more. Why are we talking more about money that's spent on players in the portal? Why aren't we just saying, guys, we had to pay to get that? I sat down with a Big Ten coach this year, a couple weeks ago. I said, man, it looks like you guys did a tremendous job in the portal and getting some players. What was it? He said, we got a big NIL collective. That's how we got it. It wasn't, I pitched them our system.
Yeah.
I have this guy. Guys, they're paying guys to come.
It's all about cash.
Yes,
it's about money.
Yep.
And so this is the reality we're talking about, but you still have to build a culture of we got to recruit high school kids that are going to be here, that are going to be leaders. We got to recruit a Jay Lehman who sucks his first 2 or 3 years, gets on the field, and then becomes a serviceable player for us that can be a leader for us. I think it's hard to coach college football. I don't really care. You get paid $7, $8, $10 million a year,
right.
So you can figure it out. I wonder if some of these coaches are like, I'm making $10 million a year. But, man, if I don't win this year, I'm going to be fired. Why don't I take $2 million of my money and put it in the NIL pool?
Right.
And here's the thing. What if a coach said this and said, listen, I'm getting paid $7 million, but you know what? We need players. I'll throw in $2 million if you guys can give me $10 million.
Yep.
Why not?
I've thought about
be
that.
different.
There's no concrete rules on that, right?
And here's the thing. Be different and say, okay, and if I go win 10 games in Illinois, you don't think Josh Whitman would say, I'm not saying Brett has to do that, but if I win 10 games at a place like Illinois or Indiana with Kurt Signetti.
You're going to make that back.
And you're going to get paid $10 million. You get paid about $1 million per win.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how it breaks down. Brett's getting paid 7. Nicky Saban was getting paid 10 or 11 when he was there, right? Harbaugh was getting paid 11. Okay, you're getting paid $1 million to win. So if I could get 4 more wins for the price of 2 wins, which is $1 million a win, that's a good trade-off. It's an investment. Now we're getting into real estate.
Or you could be Randy Edsel at UConn and get paid for a first down.
I don't know who.
Man, things were bad then.
They were negotiating all kind of deals there.
Oh, boy. Things were bad then.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Lou Tepper had something to say. If you get the fans to stand up for special teams, we will give you a gift card to the Ribeye Steakhouse and a free stay at the Chancellor with breakfast at Aunt Sonia's.
Hey,
they had all these different things in there.
Hey, a record-setting field goal will get you to stand up. How about that? Muchowski, right? Is that how you, yeah.
But funny thing is, I'm not sure how they got him to come here with Olano being,
That's what I've always thought that too.
Under Armour All-American. I did listen to Brett's press conference. Whoever asked the question, he got called out today. He's like, well, how'd you get Muchowski? I know there was this and that. And Brett's like, well, you've said 3 things incorrect, so get your information right. Brett can sometimes throw that out there at you, right?
Yeah.
If you don't say something right. I don't know how they got here because Olano, is a pretty highly touted kicker.
Sure.
I think he was an Under Armour All-American kicker, I believe.
He was.
And then Muchowski comes in. He had never kicked a field goal in a live game before. He kicked an extra point. But your first field goal is a 59-yard record-setting field goal?
And drills it.
In Memorial Stadium, and the wind tunnel, a.k.a. the wind tunnel, is not always the easiest place to actually kick field goals. I really want them to finish that south end once we, go to the playoff and get extra money and boosters and NIL. Finish that south end, make a tunnel under with Kirby Avenue and connect it with a big colonnades area to the assembly hall where it would just be one big structure. I think that's
That'd
the
be
master
awesome.
plan. $3 billion check from Shad Khan or Geese School of Business. We got it done. Okay.
No doubt.
So there's all kinds of we're everywhere today, guys.
Love it.
What about Lance from Newman says Deuce Spann left Illinois for that
Deuce.
FSU. The Deuce got loose, but in the wrong way. Boy, he wishes he was back here. Big Def 76 we won't have Franklin or Bryant next year. So God, do I freaking hope LZ stays? Yes, and Ashton Hollins and other players. Is Cruz healthy? We already talked about that. So thanks for the text, guys. We appreciate it.
It does seem like Bielema has done a fairly good job of keeping guys to not go in the portal.
Sure.
I mean, it seems like, he's lost some. And, of course, he always downplays it and say, hey, you know what?
I knew Reggie Love was going to go beforehand.
Right.
I saw the writing on the wall.
Probably the right thing for him to do, But I think Brett has done a good job to where he hasn't had to necessarily rely on the NIL.
Sure.
And then he kind of nailed it with Franklin. He nailed it with J.C. Davis. He's nailed it with a couple of these guys, Briggs, to where, maybe he doesn't, as he mentioned, doesn't have all the money in the world in the NIL. At least he's nailing what he's needing. Now, Terrence Brooks, we're still
I would
waiting
imagine
for
it
that.
got better to get Terrence Brooks to get
I agree.
Zakari when you got him. It would have had to be different than the year before, I would imagine.
I'm with you.
We think it got better. We can only speculate. But I don't think Brett took advantage in the 2022 year as much as he thought he probably should.
Yeah,
He's like,
Pipes is ripped on that.
I've got some guys. I think it was a little bit of a wake-up call. Hey, I do need more depth on the offensive line. Hey, I do need some guys. Now, there is something to be said. Man, it's hard to get defensive linemen to come here when Johnny Newton, Keith Randolph are your D tackles. You're not going to get somebody to come here. So one of the drawbacks is it's hard to get depth if you have guys that are going to play here. Now, if I'm Terrence Brooks, I'm like, of course I'm going to go there. Their DBs were horrible last year. I'm going to play. Well, you didn't play right away, right? Now, Dennis Briggs stepped in from day one as one of our best defensive linemen. He's gonna play. Zakari Franklin, hey, he's been one of our better receivers.
He has.
He's hit. J.C. Davis, Melvin Priestley, great find in the portal. That's what they have to do. They have to go find guys that maybe other people aren't looking. Say, hey, he's raw, but he has this. He's from East St. Louis. Is a school we want to recruit. A school we want to build a relationship with because they're going to have 2 or 3 guys every year that we want.
point.
Let's take Melvin Priestley. Let's take a flyer. Let's get him on our plan, our nutrition. That's what they have to do. Has he done a good job keeping most guys there? Yes, he has. Did he keep Pat Bryant there? He's said, I believe in one project, I'm sure Pat Bryant had offers. These guys, you don't have to go to the portal to get offers. You just got to call the high school coach and say, hey, Jacksonville High School, or wherever Pat Bryant went. I think he's from Jacksonville. Hey, would such and such be interested if there was X amount? I mean, there's ways to get stuff done without contacting a player directly.
Yeah.
And I think it happens.
Kirk Ferentz.
All this, and Kirk admitted to it. He said, "I got a line."
He was like, "I'm out."
If you watch the Iowa quarterback play, I would be breaking all the rules to try to fix that.
Try to fix it. Well, they already laid his son on the sacrificial altar to get rid of him. Yeah. But I'll say this with Kirk Ferentz: you know what your penalty is? You don't get to coach Illinois State.
Yeah.
If you got here's the thing. Here's the joke about it. If I had to break a rule. I mean, I don't break rules, but if I had to break a rule to get the portal quarterback I wanted, and they said you got to set up this FCS game. Really? How about you lose 5 Scullies? That would stop people.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's rules and then there's rules, right? So I don't know. We always think that if you're no,
but he did do something that everybody does. It's just they self-reported it got caught, however that happened.
Well, there's obviously police people out. I mean, the big rumor is that Ohio State reported Michigan on sign stealing. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, there was speculation according to the Netflix documentary that Ryan Day's brother is like an investigator or something, right? Yeah. So it's still out there. Now, every coach is going to say, I don't really want to talk football. I don't really want to talk about that. It doesn't really matter about once we go on the field. Well, it may matter. You know, you could be having all the plays and different things. We are on all kinds of different topics.
Woo! Hey, what do you know about Nebraska? We're getting ready to square off 2 3-0 teams, 2 ranked teams. We feel like Nebraska's we had a hard time rushing against them last year. We feel like that's going to be the case again. Sure. They've got the freshman quarterback that's looking good so far, but there's got to be a little bit of a worry on a freshman quarterback that you can kind of expose that. So what do you think? What are your thoughts leading into this game against Nebraska?
I'm concerned about their defensive line versus our offensive line. I think they could dominate us up front. And that's probably the biggest mismatch on paper. Remember, Dylan Raiola, is it Raiola or Raiola? I don't know.
I think
Dylan,
it's Raiola.
Dominic, Donovan, whatever. You know, I know his uncles and dads and everything, right? I know he committed to Georgia and now he's back. He's a Patrick Mahomes lookalike. I'm kind of over it. Like he's 3-0.
He's even doing the pregame Mahomes thing.
I know. That's a little much.
It's just like, come on, man. Like
that's a little much.
So I will say this. He's 3-0. He hasn't really played anybody. I don't think Colorado's good. I don't think Colorado will get to 4 wins. I think they're horrible up front. So did their D-line look like superstars against Colorado? Yeah, everybody's D-line looks like a superstar against Shedeur Sanders and whatever they're doing over there with Coach Prime. I think this. I'm worried about that matchup. I don't think Dylan Raiola is a world beater right now.
Right.
But he does have some weapons to take a shot. So we haven't really been hit by long passes.
Exactly.
Yet, okay? But you look at, these are the passes they had. I was watching a little bit of that UNI game. And again, UNI is an FCS opponent, so take this with a grain of salt. Jalen Lloyd, 59-yard pass catch, a 24-yard pass catch to Carter Nelson. Emmett Johnson, a 24-yard, an 18, a 14, a 17. We haven't had chunk plays like that in the past game, right? And so that's what concerns me. When you look at what they average rushing the football, remember when we were playing Central Michigan and FCS schools in Eastern Illinois, we didn't have great rushing numbers. You know, Dante Dowdle had 9.2 yards a carry. Emmett Johnson, 12.5 yards a carry. They're running the ball, and they're throwing deep. And so those are the two things we haven't really necessarily been tested. I mean,
that's a good point.
Even Jalen Daniels wasn't testing us really, throwing the football. We made him throw the football inaccurately for 3 interceptions. Again, you play an evenly matched team on the road. We never know how you're going to respond. But it comes down to 4 or 5 key metrics, okay? Other than stopping the run and running the ball, which we know is the impetus of all successful football teams, it's going to come down to turnovers, third down, red zone, special teams. Those are the ones that you're like, okay, can I actually win in those different categories? And if you can win in 3 out of 4 of those categories, which we did against Kansas, you're going to be in this ball game. Also, red zone.
Right.
You've got to make 3s into 7s, and so those 4 or 5 categories can help you flip a game where you can't outrun or stop the run. So that's how you have to do it. And like you've said, hey, it hasn't been fluky that we've won.
No.
I always thought it was fluky. We got 4 turnovers with Lovie Smith, or Beckman would do something would happen. But if you're going to beat a team and not outrush and not stop the run, you got to win in those categories.
I know we had Randy on the Max Twin City Recycling text line, said surprised to see Illinois as such big underdogs. Last I checked, I think it's around 8.5 or 9 points as the spread favoring Nebraska. What do you think about that, Jay? Just more than a touchdown, obviously less than double digits, but that being where it stands as of now.
Vegas has known more than me every time, every week. I would say, yes, good point. So I thought the spread was woefully low for, not the spread, but the over-under was woefully low for Kansas and Illinois. I thought it'd take the over all day. It ended up, I think, being 40 points. 55. It was nothing. So I was like, okay, I'm a little wrong. And you can get mixed up like that early on in the season. That seems a little high to me. This will be a game in the fourth quarter as long as Illinois doesn't just turn the ball over everywhere. They're not that big on the firepower. I think this will be a 20 to 25 game kind of in there, and whoever makes plays in those 4 or 5 key categories, I'm concerned about getting off the field. We could not get off the field against Kansas, and we're way below time of possession going into the fourth quarter. Now we caught up and we could possess the ball for like 12 minutes in the fourth quarter to win the time of possession. But I'm concerned about that if they just keep gutting us, and are we going to have to roll our safeties and DBs up? That's the concern.
I wanted to read off here. I mentioned earlier that 5-game stretch. So at number 22, Nebraska, at number 10, Penn State, Purdue at home against number 18, Michigan, and at number 9, Oregon. We've discussed this 5-game stretch all the way in the lead up to the preseason, but what do you think it means? Do you need to get 2 of them? Would 1 and 4 put you in a really tough spot, still questioning bowl game-wise? What do you make of this 5-game slate and maybe where Nebraska stands up in terms of toughness?
Well, if you're 1 and 4, you're still 500. You're going into November, and you got 4 games.
That's true.
Now, that's not ideal. Oh, we would love them to be 5-0 in these games. I think that's not necessarily realistic for what we've seen on the field so far.
Sure.
Anything can happen. I think if you do win 2 out of 5, you feel really good about where you're at going in November. We're 5-3. We got 4 games. 1 game we get a bowl, and if we win a couple games, we can get a better, maybe a New Year's Day bowl. I think if you win 4 out of 5 games, you got to say, man, it's playoff time, right?
Right.
But there's a lot of water to go under the bridge until then. I think it's just 1 game at a time. I don't think Michigan's nearly as good as we thought.
I agree.
Defensively or on the offensive line, they haven't been as good. Their quarterback is, like we talked about, why didn't they spend a bunch of money in the portal to go get a quarterback? I don't know, but they're not good at quarterback. They've got a quarterback issue. I think Penn State and Nebraska, the last time Illinois went to these places, they won. So it's not like the guys on these teams don't know that they can beat these guys.
That's a great point.
And so I don't think there's a huge intimidation factor there. I think when you got a quarterback, you got a chance like Luke. Do I think, and the thing about Michigan, they played against a Michigan team and arguably should have won. The pick play, J.J. McCarthy's knee was down on replay. That's the biggest. That's the biggest thing to me in that whole game, in that 2022 game. It's like how on the replay do you miss that he has the hand on his ball and knee on the ground on a key play like that? It just reeks of not nepotism, but favoritism and everything of we want this team to be in there. That to me was total garbage.
Totally.
So they played with Michigan. So that we've never played Oregon. We played Oregon in the 90s at one point, got beat. I can't remember. We used to always have a Pac-12 team in the offseason. We had Cal, we had UCLA, we had Washington State. I think when Ryan Leaf was there, maybe Drew.
Yeah,
Bledsoe.
you're right. They played it up at Soldier.
Yeah. We used to have a Pac-12 team on the schedule in the preseason, back when people played people in preseason. Not now. Usually you set up for success, especially if you're Michigan. But I know they played somebody in Texas this year, but last year, like the last 3 years, their preseason's been, or non-con's been really weak. So
a quick turnaround for a Friday game, that has to help Illinois a little bit, knowing you've got more of a veteran quarterback.
I think so. I think everybody's playing the same, except they had a night game, we had an 11 o'clock game. So you do get a little break as far as, hey, get half a Saturday to kind of enjoy and go after it. So I think that makes a difference. But then it's kind of offset because we have to travel.
Well, that's true.
And then they don't travel. But I think that stuff gets way overhyped. Like, I think coaches think about that stuff. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, like from Penn State's perspective, Illinois is going to have 8 days to prepare for us because they play on a Friday and we're only going to have 7. I think people get way too caught up in that. I think when it's like, dude, we're going to play at 7 o'clock on Friday night and who's ever better is going to win. People get caught up in like, oh, I had this many days to prepare and that many days to prepare. I'm like, how much can we really prepare?
Right.
I mean, I think this gets a little bit. The coaches think that sometimes their prep can save them. We had a bye week going into Penn State in 2025. We put a whole new in 2005, and we got beat 63-10. Purdue had a bye week getting ready for Notre Dame. They got beat 66-7. How many NFL teams we've seen earn a bye the first week of the playoffs and get boat raced the first week?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't buy this whole this prep time. Now, if you're getting a player back from injury, that's a totally different story. So I will say the bye week for me is more about getting healthy and self-scouting on, okay, what do people have, not trying to get ready for our next opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, my last one for you. What goes into it from a player standpoint when you're going to play in this environment that's going to be, it's ranked teams, it's nationally broadcast. It's not one of those fake Nebraska sellouts, I would imagine, where there's been like, They sold out 65, 70, whatever, to 80,000. Could be way undershooting. It might be 90.
Their sellouts are faker than the mainstream media. I mean, let's be real. I mean,
Right.
I mean, everybody knows the mainstream media is fake. I mean, we kind of hear this and whatnot. I mean, and I guess you call us mainstream media. We might be fake too. But what I was saying,
will this one be fake though?
This one won't be fake.
So what does that mean?
But when they're playing Buffalo
Yeah,
2 years ago and we're 6,000. Oh, an anonymous donor said the Boys and Girls Club can go and get 6,000. Come on, guys. They're fake sellouts. Okay?
Boys and Girls Club of Iowa City.
Like remember some people thought WWE was real? Like it's fake. Like maybe that's a better example, right?
So they're not getting 40,000 at Busch Stadium right now? Sorry, go ahead.
So there's it's
87,000, by the way.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so what was the question again?
From a player standpoint,
Okay,
is there anything there that changes your emotions, what's important communication-wise, or do we overblow that as well?
I think if you're, and this is not a knock on Illinois fans, it has been the case that there's better environments on the road than at Memorial Stadium in recent history.
Yeah.
Therefore, I felt like Illinois players got jazzed to play on the roads, and most of our wins are on the road. Okay. Number two is it's the attitude you take into it. It's kind of us against the world. I think I like that. I think some players thrive on that. Number three, you have to be really good with your signals. You can't hear anything. Like sometimes when you're offense, you have to be really good on your signals. I don't think Connor Stallions will be there, but he may be, right? Suppose there's a whole network of people that steal sides, and so they got to be good at their signals and disguising those signals. But at the end of the day, those are things of it. Who is going to block and who is going to tackle? And really, when you say who's going to block, who's going to be able to run the ball? Who's going to protect the quarterback? Who's going to tackle? Who's going to be able to stop the run?
Yep.
Like blocking and tackling, right? Sometimes we overblow stuff, and the media, we're all about that. But I just think at the end of the day, those things are not going to determine who wins and loses.
Let's go.
I can only imagine the energy in this room a week from now if Illinois is coming off a win.
Goodness.
I hope that we get there and we get to see that. But in the meantime, Illinois 3-0. They're ranked. Jay Lehman's here with us. It's been awesome. Tell us one more time who makes it happen.
CEFQ and CEFQ.com. You got to check out CEFQ. They are a local credit union here in the Champaign. They're building a building here, and if you need an auto, home, or business loan, they are your one-stop shop for that. They're not a bank. They are better. CEFQ, A&R Mechanical, AR-MECH.com. Design, build, and maintain. In 2025, they'll be in Champaign County for 100 years. That is quite the statement for any business, let alone a business in mechanicals. Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. Dick Van Dyke, home of the free 10-year protection plan. Of course, Long Branch Steakhouse open Wednesdays through Saturday, 5 to 9 p.m. Go see our friend Donnie and have some of the fried mushrooms and pickles.
Thanks as always, Jay.
All right.
You're the man.
Yeah, bet.
Illinois undefeated. We are undefeated against the 4 o'clock break. We'll be back. It is The Drive.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Here's another home improvement insight from Kramer Siding and Window. New roofing and siding are a winning combination that can instantly change the look, feel, and function of your home. Our Kramer Siding and Window team takes pride in being an Owens Corning Platinum Preferred contractor, able to offer a best-in-the-business 50-year warranty. Pair it with preservation siding in your favorite style and color, and your home will be a showstopper. Start today and save 10% on roofing and 25% on siding. Call us, click on kramersiding.com, or visit the showroom in Champaign.
Airlig Plumbing Solutions. For your kitchen and bath remodels, sump pumps, maintenance plans, and even licensed backflow testing, Airlig has you covered. Your local plumbing contractors for industrial, commercial, and residential jobs can provide plumbing services, repairs, and installs with a quick turnaround by calling or texting 217-722-9499. Send an email with your plumbing issue and contact information to info@airligplumbing.com.
Very happy and honored to have Dr. Abraham Kocherl, cardiac electrophysiology, OSF, Heart of Mary in Urbana. What is AFib?
Yeah, so atrial fibrillation is a heart rhythm disorder, and it's actually the most common heart rhythm disorder that needs treatment. So about 6 million Americans have it currently, and it's expected to increase to about 15 million by 2050. So it's a growing problem. There are lots of things that lead to atrial fibrillation, and this includes diseases like diabetes and hypertension, sleep apnea. Other factors that lead to it are an excessive alcohol and tobacco use, being overweight or obese, and being sedentary. Generally it's an older person's disease. Generally generally, if you have other heart conditions, it's worth looking for. So that there's a condition called heart failure, which commonly is associated with atrial fibrillation. So hopefully, if you have one of those conditions, those patients are being seen by a cardiologist, and that cardiologist is paying attention to the heart rhythm and keeping an eye on things to look for the development of atrial fibrillation.
To learn more, visit osfhealthcare.org.
Take charge of the years ahead with a smart, sound investment strategy and business succession plan. Busey Bank's business and wealth management experts help you envision your best future with powerful insights and proven strategies. Building business and growing wealth since 1868, Busey Bank, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
BMW, Buick, GMC, Honda, and Subaru. Welcome to Sarah Champagne. We can handle all your car repairs on site, including paintless dent repair, bumpers, windshields, everything in between. We have an amazing selection of new or pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Shop from home and buy online or reserve your vehicle before it hits our website or dealership. Sarah Champagne is home of the Sarah One Price Promise, delivering an honest and transparent buying experience. Hurry in or shop online at sarahchampagne.com.
From computer systems to brakes and tires too, at PDR, fixing cars is what they do. Remember, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 or use their dedicated text-only line at 383-0619. Additional information including repair quotes and online scheduling requests available from the website at pdrauto.com. Remember, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Look at that. Look at it. A pile of junk, a stack of rubbish, some buckets of yuck. Are you tired of looking at it? 2 Minute Junk Truck is available for junk removal or dumpster rentals to get rid of your heap of muck, accumulations of dreck, and mountains of cast-offs. Go to 2minutejuncktruck.com and schedule your time. Let us help you make room for what matters most. 2minutejuncktruck.com for your junk removal and dumpster rentals.
Hi, Ellen Hook here, owner of your local Ashley. I have a big announcement. The Champaign Ashley store is getting a fresh new look, and you're invited to the remodel sale. Right now, save up to 65% off furniture and accessories throughout the store, with hundreds of items in stock and ready to take home today. But that's not all. Join us outside under the carport every weekend in September and October for extra savings on select furniture. It's all happening at your local Ashley in Champaign at 602 West Anthony Drive. Hurry into Ashley because these deals won't last long.
In 1925, Bud and B. Reichert founded a small plumbing business in Urbana. Today, nearly 100 years later, A&R Mechanical is still thriving. A&R Mechanical believes in designing, building, and maintaining with plumbing, piping, ventilation, and HVAC service. As one of the largest and most innovative contractors in the Midwest, their team creates and sustains essential facility systems for iconic structures like the Siebel Center, the Campus Instructional Facility, Carl at the Fields, Chemical and Life Science Lab, the Carl Heart and Vascular Service, and literally dozens more. Their impact on Champaign-Urbana is legendary. For nearly a century, A&R Mechanical has been a cornerstone of our community. Congratulations, A&R Mechanical, on nearly 100 years of dedication, innovation, and community spirit. Design, build, maintain. It's what they've done for nearly 100 years and what they'll continue to do for the next 100 years. Visit ar-mech.com for more details. Very happy and honored to have Dr. Abraham Cottrell, cardiac electrophysiology, OSF, Heart of Mary in Urbana. What is AFib?
Yeah, so atrial fibrillation is a heart rhythm disorder, and it's actually the most common heart rhythm disorder that needs treatment. So about 6 million Americans have it currently, and it's expected to increase to about 15 million by 2050. So it's a growing problem. There are lots of things that lead to atrial fibrillation, and this includes diseases like diabetes and hypertension, sleep apnea. Other factors that lead to it are an excessive alcohol and tobacco use, being overweight or obese, and being sedentary. Generally it's an older person's disease. Generally, if you have other heart conditions, it's worth looking for. So that there's a condition called heart failure, which commonly is associated with atrial fibrillation. So hopefully, if you have one of those conditions, those patients are being seen by a cardiologist, and that cardiologist is paying attention to the heart rhythm and keeping an eye on things to look for the development of atrial fibrillation.
To learn more, visit osfhealthcare.org. Pia's has Karaoke Fridays the second and fourth Friday of the month after 9 p.m. Get into your weekend with $5 Crown Royal drinks plus $4 Fireball Friday shots. Tequila Tuesdays go south of the border with drink specials. And from 11 to 2, get lunch with a big taco for only $2.75. Wednesdays are wild with Mason jar drinks, and it's country night. Happy Thursday with $5 Jack drinks and $4 Happy Dad and Happy Thursday seltzers. Every day is a good day at Pia's.
It is the Drive with Sandpiper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Great stuff as always from Jay Lehman. I'm serious. I'm trying to picture, and look, it's a very feasible task for Illinois. It'll be a tough one, but to go on the road and beat Nebraska, can only imagine the buzz around here.
Oh,
if Illinois is 4-0, just beat another ranked team, and all the dreams that people could dream if they win there in Lincoln on Fox on Friday night.
My gosh.
This is going to be one of those appointment television. Not that Illini fans don't watch every game anyway.
Right.
But, like, text your buddies, where are we watching this game?
Uh-huh.
Like, let's really get after it and have all hopes going into this one. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it. And
how fun would the weekend be? Getting that out of the way Friday night, knowing you've got Saturday and Sunday to just revel in it.
Yeah. The Bears could do anything. It wouldn't hurt me.
Well.
All right. Lie a little bit. Couldn't hurt me as much as they're going to hurt Caleb Williams.
Oh, my gosh. That was ugly, dude.
It was, yeah.
I went to bed early last night. I was like, well, I don't know why I'm watching this. This is kind of boring and just isn't really. Wow.
Chiefs-Bengals wasn't boring.
No.
Did you watch that one?
Yeah.
Although, wait, I think the Cardinals were on at the same time.
Yeah,
so.
but we watched the Cardinals were on at 3,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Was the
Same as
Chiefs-Bengals?
Chiefs-Bengals.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So we watched the end of it. Mainly we watched the end with the pass interference call. And, whether or not it is pass interference, and he obviously got there early.
Yeah,
it just wasn't catchable. But it was one of those where right before the play started, I looked at Andrew and I'm like, there's going to be a flag thrown here, right, on Cincinnati. I was joking, but I'm like, this is always the case when these two teams meet. There's going to be a flag thrown in Kansas City's behalf. And then sure enough, there is. But when they showed the replay, I was like, wow, he did get there early.
He did. It just feels 4th and 16.
Yeah.
And it just
like, what is that guy doing? What is that guy doing?
Get bailed out, which, like, it by the letter of the law, I think it was
Yeah.
probably a penalty. Someone had a stat on Twitter that 17 of Mahomes' picks since he started in the league have been erased by penalty.
Okay.
Now, of course, when you see like an offsides penalty, you're supposed to like take a roll of the dice and throw it up and those type of things. But yeah, it's just one of those. It's like, okay, here's the old Buffalo Wild Wings commercial. Press the button.
It's almost
Let's
too
make sure
much
that they get this win. Shout out to Joe Burrow though for as questionable as the hair look
his blonde
ultimately is. He brought it.
He did
a lot better than Week 1 against the Patriots, but that was a thrilling game.
It's a fun game. Steelers are 2-0.
Yeah.
Shocking. How are they doing that?
Great defense.
Yeah, I know.
Really questionable.
For the 50th year in a row, they've had a great defense.
The Broncos, come on.
Well, right.
Bo Nix and whatnot. And
they've
Cousins'
had a good
first
start.
game off an Achilles, yeah. Fields hasn't been great. I'm not here to tell you that he has.
Mm-hmm.
But,
hey, Kyler was unbelievable. I had to eat some crow yesterday. He was on fire. And, yeah, Cardinals look good. That felt good to – they went into that game 2-11 versus McVay. Wow. 2-11. And really, only one of those two wins actually was – one was kind of fluky when neither team was really in it at the end. So, almost honestly like 1-10 against Sean McVay when it counted. So, to come out and just pound an injured L.A. team, don't get me wrong. Do you know how much different it is to play the Rams without Aaron Donald? I mean, it is amazing to me. I just have never appreciated a defensive lineman more than I appreciated Aaron Donald when my team would play him, because you just realize that he takes away almost everything up front. Not only do you not run against him, but then he's also pressuring the quarterback from the inside, Whereas normally you're used to being pressured from the outside so you can kind of step up into that little hole. No. Aaron Donald was just incredible. So, man, it felt good to just blow them out.
Although last night the Texans had 4 Aaron Donalds. When you decide not to block him, at least. That's
Why
what
did the Texans get – who is their coach?
D'Amico Ryans.
I mean, are we giving D'Amico – I couldn't even remember his name, and I apologize. I don't remember anybody's name anymore. But, I mean, that dude has done one heck of a job with the Houston Texans. I know C.J. Stroud's a big part of that, but going out and getting Stephon Diggs, watching Nico Collins, kind of his ascension – and then that defense, I mean,
I was going to say, I don't watch the Texans
the
on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was a linebacker. It was crazy they flashed up there, which probably says more about the Bears' personnel decisions, that Gerald Everett and D'Amico Ryans were in the same draft.
Were
and
they
Everett's
really?
still playing for us and not doing all that much.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, defensively, and I don't watch Houston on a week-to-week basis, but their defense was as nasty of one as I can remember here in recent memory. Now, to the point of being a little dirty, like their linebacker took a swing on Roschon Johnson on the sideline. Should have been ejected for that, but they were out there hunting and hitting just with I don't know, vicious, bad intentions.
He's
And
done that, man.
I appreciated it. I mean, other than the fact that I thought Caleb Williams' head was going to be in the 5th row. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, I was impressed by their defense. Their offense probably could have put up more numbers, but I do think that had something to do with the Bears defensively, especially their secondary, which I am pretty high on.
Yeah.
But it was a tough watch for Chicago fans last night.
Should we move on to Illinois?
We can, yes. We definitely can. Now, it's one of those weeks, you said it off the air, when it's 30-9 and you beat a MAC team, as you're supposed to. It's supposed to be kind of that ho-hum. We did expect a little bit of an emotional letdown potentially, and that seemed to come to fruition. For whatever reason, it was 13-6 at halftime, and you had some of the nightmare scenarios start to creep. I don't know about you guys, if you guys ever considered, like, would Illinois actually lose this game?
I didn't.
I wasn't necessarily there, but I was like, oh, man, is this going to be one of those you're sweating into the fourth quarter? It could have been.
Right. And to their credit that they didn't make that happen. And Brett Bielema basically, he kind of said it, the idea that, at halftime we just said, look, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Let's do it better because we are better than them. And that's exactly what they did, and they kind of pulled away on that. So that was just one of those where you just kind of felt like, I did at least, that they're going to win the game. It's just a matter of when are you going to start winning this game? Are you going to make this a little more comfortable to where everybody else can go out into the tailgate lots and enjoy a cold one while you're still playing, unfortunately. But, hey, you know what? 3-0, congrats to them. It is great to be 3-0. It's awesome to look ahead to a Friday night game. It's cool that we don't even have to wait till Saturday. We get this thing off on a Friday night. I know that a lot of people hate Friday nights due to high school, and especially when it's at home, right? Because you only have so many chances to go to a home Illinois game. And if you're a big Illini fan, yet you've got maybe a son that plays high school football or maybe a nephew or someone that you feel like you need to go watch, then in a way it's like, well, this kind of stinks because I'm losing now a game. I don't think it's as bad when it's on the road, even though there's still going to be high school games they've got to go to, but they could always kind of tape it and watch it later if they want, or it probably doesn't feel as bad. But I don't know. I'm one of those guys. Now, again, neither one of my boys played high school football, so I never had an issue with Friday nights. But I'm one of those where I don't mind this so bad. I don't want it every year. I mean, I don't need it every week is what I'm saying. I don't want a Friday night game every week. But I don't mind a road Friday night game to then allow you to have the rest of the weekend to just kind of have some fun and whatever, even if you're doing yard work and you can't have the excuse of watching Illinois. Maybe this is bad for people. Maybe they'll
be putting that word out there.
Yeah, people are like, wait, I have to do yard work now? Come on, Lon. But seriously, this is a game I cannot wait for, and we get it a day earlier than normal, and let's go.
I love it personally. I get why people out there with a reason to go to high school football games would be against it for sure, and I might have a different opinion if my son, who's 2 now, is 16 and he's out there for Muhammad.
Quarterback in the Bulldogs.
The lefty quarterback for Muhammad Seymour. If that happens, then I will be bummed out for sure. But for me, it's bridging that gap. You're going to have Thursday night football as always, and then you're going to have Saturday full slate of college. You're going to have Sunday NFL and whatnot, and that Friday night game and it has that standalone appeal too. So I think we've convinced ourselves in the past of a Friday night game with a obviously unranked Illinois team, maybe a lesser opponent, of course. Like, oh, well, it's good exposure for recruiting.
Right.
And then you like, oh, well, Old Dominion and Vatex on. And people might actually be watching that one. This is going to be a different in terms of the national landscape. It's 2 ranked teams. It's Fox.
Yes.
This is not a let's convince ourselves that other people actually care about this game.
Right.
People should.
They should.
People should care about this game. It's a Big Ten clash. It's 2 ranked squads.
I'd be up at like 6 a.m. Saturday watching College Game Day. Fired up if you win this game.
Oh, my gosh. And, yeah, just to be able to say, Michigan plays USC on Saturday, and there's going to be no worry that, hey, Illinois has a conflicting time and whatnot. So you get kind of that whole viewing experience. Otherwise, since Lon suggested it to people who might get a chance to make those calls, you might be in your flower beds or mowing your yard if you get told to do that by whoever's in charge of that department of your life. But shout out to my wife. She's listening.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I think that this definitely would move the needle in terms of and maybe from a coaching staff perspective, I'm sure we would hear Brett Bielema say this. I mean, I kind of relate it to covering recruiting and covering Illinois basketball, that those targets that Illinois is tracking, say like a J.C. Anderson from Mount Zion, whoever they're playing on Friday night, can you imagine Brett maybe sending a late night text and like, hey, congrats on your win. I don't know if you saw, but we got a big one out in Lincoln tonight. That would be a huge, pop your eyes open. Illinois is for real this year if they can get that done. I know some would say we're doing a little bit of, I don't know, dreaming, but it would be on the optimistic side for an 8.5, 9-point underdog to go do it. But they could get it done.
I can't wait. Let's get this thing rolling. I think, what are we still going to learn about Illinois with this game against Nebraska? Will this, we ran the ball well against Eastern, didn't run it that well against Kansas, kind of halfway ran it decent against Central Michigan, but not really. You'd probably still count it as not really good.
When Fagan has 25 yards,
that's not good enough. If they struggle against Nebraska, then is it full tilt? We've got an issue with our run game, which was something that we did not think coming into the season. I mean, that was last year you had all these injuries, and that's part of the reason you didn't run the ball well. This season, it was barring injuries, our run game should be our strength, or one of the strengths, to where, and I didn't think the passing game wouldn't be a strength, but I certainly, and I've always thought Luke Altmaier was going to be a solid quarterback, and I got one thing on him real quick, but when you look at it, I mean, do you all of a sudden go into a little bit of a panic if we don't run the ball well against Nebraska, even though a lot of teams don't run the ball well against Nebraska?
I'm kind of already panicking because you're supposed to run the ball well against Central Michigan, and your top back had 25 yards.
Yeesh.
And you didn't run the ball against Kansas all that well. So I'm already kind of panicking on that front. I wouldn't expect that Illinois runs it well against Nebraska. It would be a pleasant surprise.
I agree.
If they did. If they go in there and struggle and get predictable as far as, all right, they know they can't run, and now Nebraska's pinning their ears back and going after Altmaier, that could create some issues, create some problems, and that's where Lunny probably has to dial up some quick out-of-the-hand throws and be able to counter for a defense that might kind of know that you're one-dimensional, at least as far as depending on the score. But if that reality is, look, we don't have to send, like Jay was talking about, extra people to the box. We don't have to be ultra creative, and we can just let our front four play as they will, and they won't have holes to run. So what does that mean? I think if you're playing against the slate we're talking about, Penn State after that, I wouldn't expect you to run the ball.
Nope.
Michigan after that, I wouldn't expect you to be able to run the ball.
No.
Oregon on the road, probably not going to be able to run the ball and probably chasing points anyway.
I was going to say
if they play up to their capabilities. So that could create problems. Now, can you still run it against Purdue? Can you still run it against Northwestern? Can you still run it against some of those other teams? I would hope so.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, this is something that maybe we overrated the offensive line going in. And it is just concerning, especially as Jay phrased it, like guys that have been in your program that were starting for you last year on the interior that you hoped would get better. And to this point, we haven't seen it.
Here comes the barge. The barge is coming Friday.
I guess.
Might be time to bring it back out.
Or maybe you just lean in. Maybe you do the John Paddock offense and say, we're going to try to throw for 400 yards.
Well, that's true. I mean, it might be what you have to do, to be honest with you. But I'm not ready to give up on the run. I'm just not, because I feel like, as Jay said, there's so many things that come off the run. You can time a possession. You can control clock. That's always a big thing for me. And you keep Nebraska's offense off the field if they're running at a high clip. So I just feel like you have to at least – you can't just get away from the run. You have to see what you can get done against Nebraska. And, maybe you run some counters on them. I don't know. But, again, if they're just playing that base 4, then that's not really going to work either. They're going to have a linebacker sitting there waiting on you. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's something that will be, I think, a big key to that game going in. But I don't know how big of a key it should be, because you almost feel like you can't run against them. All right, I want to ask you guys this. Luke Altmaier has played really well so far. He doesn't have any interceptions. Mm-hmm. Is that more of Luke Altmaier playing really well, really smart, or is he maybe taking care of the ball a little too much in your mind? I don't think so. I feel like he's made the play when he needs to make the play. I feel like he's done a little bit of a gunslinger, especially that first game against Eastern, throwing the ball down the field a little bit. Do you think that Luke, because that was kind of the knock on with him when Paddock came in. Paddock just let it go. It's like, hey, 1 step, gone. 2 step, gone. Whereas Luke is kind of a little bit more of a game management kind of guy. Will that continue to sustain throughout the season? In other words, will that be a positive throughout the season if he's more still manageable, if you will, as a QB? I mean, do you think that can happen?
I think it's a good question. If Illinois is in more of a situation to chase points, then maybe he needs to get a little more aggressive. I thought the Kansas game, when the offense stalled, there were times where he was maybe a little gun shy, I felt. And that was something that I didn't have access. I didn't go back and watch the tape. Like, on the All-22, you can see everything was covered, so you know why he held on the ball there, versus another chance where it seemed like somebody was open. But I felt like in that game in particular, there were a few instances where he wasn't trying to push the ball down the field or just trying to get rid of it and maybe was a little unsure of himself. Outside of that, when your defense is playing as well as it has been, you don't need to take a bunch of risks. I don't want him putting the ball in harm's way, and that could have been the difference of winning or losing the Kansas game. So I appreciate the ball security.
Fair point.
As far as that goes. So I think it will go hand in hand with how well this defense holds up. If they start to give up bigger plays, more points, then maybe you need him to, and the running game doesn't fix itself, then maybe you need him to be a little bit more aggressive. But to this point, I've been fine with it. I like his completion percentage. I like the fact that you got the 6-0 touchdown to interception ratio. So we're going to learn a lot more about it, though. Although I do think to this point, I can't complain much about what he's done.
Yeah, and Kyle, I think he picks great spots to run the football. And I think that is a strength, obviously, of Luke Altmaier, that, I always love how people are like, well, he's not the most athletic guy, but he gets out here on this 19-yard scamper. Well, you got to be pretty athletic to get on a 19-yard scamper. There's some quarterbacks that aren't going to do that. So what do you think, Kyle? I mean, I feel like, what's your assessment of Luke? I know it should be good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not asking you to look through like Evil Mask right now and pick out something you don't like, but do you feel like he could get a little bit more, let's be a little bit more of a gunslinger at times?
I think he might have to at some point, especially like you said, if this run game doesn't end up fixing itself. I think to go into Nebraska, to go into Penn State, to go into Oregon and give yourself any semblance of a chance to win those games, you're going to need some explosive passing plays. You're going to need maybe to throw one up and give your guys a chance a little bit, which I think he's done at times.
Sure.
But, yeah, I've been super impressed with him, and I think you saw the difference in that Kansas game in particular, where Luke really – even though he did take a couple sacks and there was a couple times where he didn't necessarily pull the trigger on some throws in the middle of that game, you saw what the other side looked like. Jalen Daniels was like, I'm just going to let this rip right in the traffic. Right. And those 3 interceptions are the difference in the game.
Good call.
So I think the circumstances of each matchup will kind of dictate that for Luke. I think he did a really nice job in that Kansas game of just keeping Illinois in the game, ultimately led a couple really nice drives late, where he started to let it rip and give his guys, Pat Bryant, Zachary Franklin, some chances more. But I think in a game like at Nebraska against a really good defensive line where, like Derek said, my expectation probably is you're not going to have a lot of success running the ball. If Illinois is going to win this game, I think Luke might have to step a little bit out of his comfort zone in terms of throwing the football a little more aggressively.
Fair enough.
If you look at Pro Football Focus, as I am right now, I know that Lon is on there every day, so you know the analytics here. But 29th among all starting quarterbacks in college football as far as their grade at the quarterback position. If you look at the Big Ten, and certainly there have been differing levels of competition against, depending on the schedule, but that is only trailing Billy Edwards Jr. in the Big Ten from Maryland. You also have Dylan Gabriel at 14th, whoever the heck is playing quarterback for Northwestern, although that's only 34 dropbacks. So it looks like 4th in the Big Ten to this point. And Jay said it. He thinks that Luke is the top 5 quarterback in the league thus far. So it's been pretty good. It's been a higher grade than what Will Howard's got for Ohio State, although Ohio State still hasn't really played anybody.
Right.
So hopefully it continues. And, yeah, I mean, ball security is a big deal, but there are, like Kyle was saying, as we broke down, and varying levels of aggression or what you're wanting based on circumstance and what you're getting out of the defense in the running game.
I can't let you say that and not go after the Billy Edwards Jr.
Yeah.
Is that kid straight out of West Virginia? Or, like, where's he? Where'd Maryland find him?
I wish I could tell you anything about Billy
What's
Edwards
your name,
Jr.
son? Billy Edwards Jr., sir. Well, you're going to be our quarterback. Billy Edwards Jr.
Yeah, there you have it.
217 said Valentine needs more PT. He's been our most explosive running back thus far. He has looked good in moments that he's come in and played. Do you feel like he's a guy you can trust 4 games into a career, going into a big setting like Nebraska, to give him, dare I say, the bulk of the carries, or at least a heavier workload? Maybe not the bulk, but a heavier workload?
I'd rather see him than Josh McCray.
Mm-hmm.
I know McCray,
McCray
ended up with
a
little bit. 8 carries, 54 yards. Valentine was at 5 carries, 53 yards. I feel like against more athletic teams, like you're going to face Big Ten level defenses, you're going to kind of want them make you miss the change of direction. I think that is the nice compliment to a Caden Fagan. Josh, to me, is just kind of maybe a slower version of Caden Fagan, and maybe that's
I'm with
harsh.
You. I think that's fair.
And there was probably nitpicking one play. There was one of McCray's carries that was like a little toss out of the shotgun. Like, he's never going to hit the edge there. Like, he's never going to get enough burst to be able to do that. Like, if you're going to run, and Jace talked about maybe Fagan needs to be more out of single back, full head of steam going to the line of scrimmage.
I'm with you.
If you're running out of shotgun, I would like Khalil Valentine to get a lot of those carries, in my opinion.
I would line up Fagan against Nebraska, and I would see what we could do and try to at least establish some sort of run with Fagan strong up the gut. I mean, I would just literally say, we know that is your strength, but we are going to test it early with what we think is a decent offensive line, even though we've obviously seen some worries there, and what we think is maybe one of the best running backs in the Big Ten in Caden Fagan. So here we go. I'd love to see that and see what could happen in that game. Now, it might be something that you do that a couple of times and say, okay, well, we tried that, and that's not going to work. But I would almost fight fire with fire a little bit in that Nebraska game and just come out and say, we're going to have to run the ball to beat Nebraska, so let's just line up and see if we can do it. That would be cool. Hey, also on the Max Twin City Recycling text line, Gary from West Union. I just want to shout out West Union. Probably nobody knows where West Union is.
You had to tell me where it was.
Yeah, it's below like Marshall, Illinois. So shout out to Gary texting in from West Union. Good fish.
Thanks for tuning in,
if
Gary.
you're hungry for fish, go to West Union. They've got
sounds good right now.
They got a restaurant that has great fish. 2 restaurants actually. So there you go.
I like it. Do it for a break. If you want to weigh in, you can. 217-359-2255 on the Max Twin City Recycling text line. Before we hit that break, Lon's got to do a little work.
Yes, about Busey. Busey Bank's commitment to the pillars of their organization, the associates, customers, communities, shareholders, has been a defining aspect of their culture for more than 155 years. Each day, their vision is brought to life by doing the right thing for customers as they build trusted relationships. And to learn more about that promise, turn the pages of their Pillar magazine. They proudly shine a spotlight on positive partnerships across the communities. In fact, they've got one on Illinois women's basketball coach Shauna Green. See how she's striving to use the game as a platform for teaching life skills and inspiring others to chase their dreams. To read these stories and more, visit Busey.com/thepillar today. Busey, member FDIC.
Whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is Circus Sports Illinois. Circus Sports, it's betting the way it should be. Circus Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circus Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com.
Must be 21 or older. For Illinois Problem Gambling Services, please call 1-877-968-7848.
Our showroom renovation is complete. At the new Flooring Surfaces, you'll enjoy a modern shopping experience in a showroom filled with the latest innovations in floor covering, plus custom blinds, shades, and shutters in an expanded window treatment area. Flooring Surfaces can help you with free design assistance, expert advice, and professional installation, all in a brand new space you have to see to believe. Visit Flooring Surfaces today at 401 Mercury Drive in Champaign.
Flooring Surfaces, your first stop. Loud and clearly better. Good vibes.
Hi, this is Steve from Good Vibes.
And I'm Keneno, linebacker on the football team. And I have a question.
Fire away.
I'm getting to know about the OLED TVs and pixels and all that, but I'm a college student. A $2,000 TV is just not happening right now. Why wouldn't I just get a basic set from Walmart?
Well, that's a good question. There's an old saying, buy cheap, buy twice. We sell Sony TVs. We love those OLEDs. We love the mini LEDs, but you can choose a 65-inch Sony for $769 that will last longer and look better than those Walmart cheapies.
There's another old saying, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, some brands are only available at the big box stores. No parts, no service. That's why you won't find them at Good Vibes.
Well, I like supporting local business. I believe in being involved in the local community.
I know. You're on the Werfel Award watch list. That's the trophy given to the college football player who best combines exemplary community service with athletic and academic achievement. You hit hard on and off the field.
Good thing this is radio, or you could see me blushing. Well, maybe not.
Looking for the best deal on your next vehicle? Visit Sarah Champagne, where your dream car awaits. From sleek sedans to rugged SUVs, they've got it all. Their unbeatable prices and exceptional customer service make car buying a breeze. Plus, with their hassle-free financing options, driving off in your new ride has never been easier. Sarah Champagne, Honda, BMW, Subaru, Buick, GMC. Visit them today. Sarah, SERRA, Champagne.com.
Airlig Plumbing Solution. For your kitchen and bath remodels, sump pumps, maintenance plans, and even licensed backflow testing, Airlig has you covered. Your local plumbing contractors for industrial, commercial, and residential jobs can provide plumbing services, repairs, and installs with a quick turnaround by calling or texting 217-722-9499. Send an email with your plumbing issue and contact information to info@airligplumbing.com.
In an ever-changing real estate market, it is so important to work with experienced agents like Russ and Nick Taylor with the Taylor teams at Taylor Realty Associates. They have the knowledge and expertise to get your home sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. Trust the experience and success of Russ and Nick Taylor with the Taylor team at Taylor Realty Associates. Give them a call today at 217-355-0700 or visit them online at taylorboys.com. That's taylorboys.com.
You've set your financial goals. One kid plans to go Big Ten, the other Ivy. Your bucket list includes seaside sunrises and sunsets on the slopes, or perhaps a second home away from it all. Busey Bank can help develop the right investment strategy to take charge of the years ahead. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Brett Bielema met with the media today, gearing up for a huge clash there in Lincoln. Number 24, Illinois, at number 22, Nebraska. Matt Rhule and company look good so far, but I guess you could say they've been tested against Colorado, but have not begun Big Ten play. And we're going to find out a lot more about the Huskers, just as we will the Illini. What's Brett thinking going into this week? He spoke to the media to give you his thoughts. Here's Brett Bielema.
Really just turn the page quickly. Obviously, Saturday to have the early kickoff. I thought our guys handled that moment. We'd played 3 straight night games, and then to play the thing that probably, as I sat back and relaxed and kind of took in after the game on Saturday, we made a big issue with our guys about it was going to be the hottest game we had played to that point, and literally did not have one issue with cramping or any hydration issues. These guys have really handled their business as good as any team I've been around. We made a big issue about really from Thursday on about the game time temperature and the heat factor and playing 11 o'clock and everything from A to Z, and I thought that made a really big statement to me as well. Came out of it pretty healthy. Couple injury updates. Aiden Lawfrey cleared practice today. Should be, as long as there isn't anything unforeseen, will be with us on Friday. Carson Goda as well. Carson practiced today and should be involved in several aspects of the game plan as we go forward. One of the things I've really enjoyed is just offensively we've been able to work through a lot of different personnel groupings through the first 3 games, and expect more of that to come, just maximizing our best personnel. I think last year, because of the personnel that we were in, we were really pretty much an 11 team, but to throw as much diversity as we can. We've played, I believe, 6 different or 7 different personnel groupings through 3 games, and that obviously I think brings a lot of value for us. So we'll get those guys back on the offense side, and then defensively, Tyler Strain came in, was a very effective player for us on special teams, and this will be now the second week where his health is up and can help us in certain phases of the defense as well as on special teams. So excited about that. Jumped into the film literally Saturday. Our leaving the stadium, we flipped a page and went from Saturday to Monday. We skipped Sunday, so Sunday was really like a Monday. Today was like a Tuesday. Just very talented Nebraska football team. Have obviously a lot of respect for not only their head coach, but several of their coaches have had a very storied career. A lot of guys have done really good things offensively and defensively. A lot of the same players we saw a year ago. Obviously, the addition of new players on both sides of the ball and in the kicking game. So a tremendous challenge, one that we're excited about to play under the lights on a Friday night. Ironically, had a Friday night game with these guys last year here in our stadium. Now to go over there and have the same, I think just because of what they've accomplished, what we've accomplished, to have 2 big teams ranked on a Friday night game is a little bit unusual. It doesn't happen all the time, all right? To see that play out and to be a part of it is awesome. Give a lot of credit to their team on what they've accomplished to this point. I told our guys to continue to keep our focus, our mentality, and see where it can go. So with that, open it up for questions.
Brett, you get to test yourself on a national spotlight game, 2 ranked teams. I know your focus is one at a time, but just as a competitor, like what is the excitement? What is the vibes of going into a game like that?
Well, I think, more than anything, it's our first Big Ten game, right? It's a rematch game. There's a lot of different things that factor into it besides just the 2 Big Ten teams that are ranked. I think once our guys get into Big Ten play, because of our conference right now, because of the exposure of 18 teams from coast to coast, these 9 conference games, mean a lot. I think when you throw in the element of, obviously they're ranked, we're ranked. I think that's a unique thing to these guys, right? Like it's kind of interesting to see the energy that brings. Now, for me, I really don't, care, but for I get from the outside world and from a young man's perspective to have that has been pretty good. But I just keep challenging these guys to keep playing their best football, to play against another really good team. I think that's something that, even going into the Kansas game, I know our guys really were excited to play against good competition, right? Against defensively against a quarterback that had all the value that he was bringing. Same thing on our defense or our offense side of the ball to play against Kansas defense, and then last week, challenge our guys to keep their focus on improving themselves, not so much about who we were playing, and then this week to have the front and center attention of Nebraska, who's gained a lot of attention ever since their Colorado game. Obviously very well deserved, and it's something that brings their attention for sure.
Right, in terms of Alec Bryant, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was one of your first transfer additions in 2021. To see him progress throughout 3 years in the program and have this start to the season that he's had, it's got to be.
2 guys that kind of came in that same window, Alec Bryant and T-Rod Edwards, are 2 of our probably more accountable players. Alec came in, didn't play that first year, right? So a little bit unusual, but T-Rod didn't either. But now those guys, I think both those guys stand out to me as guys. On the outside world, they're probably viewed as transfers, but for me, I personally kind of think of them because they've been with us so long. They just know how we do things. They know what we're doing. Alec brings a lot of diversity because he can play both Fox and Buck for us. He's kind of a hybrid between Seth and Gabe. Seth and Gabe are 2 different players, but Alec kind of blends that world perfectly. But also in that room, Joe Barna and JoJo Hayden have really, since fall camp, really made a huge jump in playing ability. So For us, we play a lot of our defense schemes have 2 outside backers on the field at any given time, and then when you throw Gabe in to the inside position, have those 2, that's 3 outside backers on the field, and it gives a lot of depth, which we needed.
Their quarterback is talented, but young, true freshman. How does that factor into preparing for him?
Well, obviously the preparation from last year's game, a lot of the same coaches and all that goes into it, but he brings a different element immediately. He's a very talented young man that's got incredible awareness, very talented, got a great deep ball throw. They maximize and utilize him pretty well. I think early downs, third downs, there's some things you can literally see him get better on every series. Just very impressive to see. I know he's a highly recruited player. Brought a lot of attention and deservedly so. I've known the Raiola family. When I was coach at Wisconsin, his uncle was there. I got to know very, very well. Then when I was in the league, got to know them, and then watched the story unfold wherever he was committed the first couple times, and then to go there last year brought a lot of attention to that, and you can see why he's everything that I would say that he's built up to be, and probably even more.
Do you like the way you've been moving the ball, or do you want more balance and a little more effective inside running game?
The numbers speak for themselves, right? The ultimate number that we care about is 3 wins, 0 losses, but we're trying to go 1-0 every week. I think good teams do 3 things. They run the ball, defend the run, and cover kicks, and obviously our offense has to be balanced. They got to be able to run the ball effectively, especially when certain situations arise. I think going into this stretch here of 9 straight Big Ten games, I think, to be on the road, last night when I left the office, there was a 50% chance for rain on Friday. This morning when I came in, there was a 90% chance on Friday night, right? So I don't know where it's going to be. 2 best jobs in the country are weathermen and sports writers. You never have to be right, so I think the part that I think we have to be able to take advantage of if we want to win effectively in the Big Ten is be able to run the ball, at certain situations, but I think the greatest definition of a team is a team that can run the ball effectively when they want to run it against good competition.
You said after the game, kind of want to challenge your offensive line. What's that look like this week, and what are you hoping to get out of them?
Well, exactly right there. One of our biggest things that we have to do is become more consistent. I thought, 2 weeks ago in the Kansas game, one of our 2 MVPs were our 2 tackles. Melvin and JC played well, but I think they could play even better than what they played. Geske, Josh, and Zai, again, did some good things, but want them to pick up their level of play. We worked Brandon Henderson into the routine as a big tight end, but we were just having a hard time getting him in the lineup. So to get him game reps, I've done that often in my career, is just to give him a player more reps. Blocking good people during the normal part of a game is really valuable. Hunter Whiteneck, again, came in and did some things for us, has been a solid player for us, so I think the more depth we can build there. And then Kevin Wigginton went through an ankle roll-up, right? So he's been kind of just getting back up. He got cleared 2 weeks ago, so I think to bring him along and see where he can go is also going to be a big part.
When T-Rock can get pressure up the middle like he has maybe the last couple games, what does that maybe do for your defense? Just maybe do more with that?
Yeah, I grabbed T-Rock, I guess it was Sunday before the meetings, and just said, hey, man, I know maybe the stats, the production, the numbers that everybody seeks, right? The TFLs, the sacks, but his ability, like he shows up on film, and I made a very big point to him that just keep doing what you're doing. The things will come that are there, and the most important thing is people are noticing because the people beyond this opportunity he has in front of him this year, right? NFL scouts have asked about him. Just a very impressive I think he's a shade to shade. Got a little bit of 3 technique value, but very explosive, dynamic. Plays at a really high motor. I think him and Briggs in there together have begun to be a little bit disruptive, and then you throw Gabe into the mix. Alex Bray had another good step forward. So I'm excited to see that group continue to grow.
You've played at Nebraska while at Wisconsin and Illinois. What's just that environment like, and what do you expect on Friday night?
Well, 400 straight sellouts, right? I don't know how many times somebody can be a part of 400 things, but we're getting the opportunity to be number 400. So a very tenured, unbelievable fan base. I remember the first time I ever went there, I was a young linebacker coach at the University of Iowa. We played there. Had never seen it, never heard it, never been a part of it, and became very educated in a short amount of time. And it's a very, I'd say, high football IQ crowd. Like, they know what's going on, they understand it, they get it, and they play to it. That doesn't happen by chance. So I think to again, another part of this conference is just playing in some very awesome, unique settings, environments. Nebraska is an environment that, you know, you kind of walk, the way you get to the stadium is unique. You pass through a bunch of people, and to hear that. I was at Kansas State when we played them a couple times, and to play them in that environment against former, you know, at that time they were Big 12 opponents, right? And then to come back into it in the Big 10, just an awesome experience, and I think something our guys will really love the challenge. We got to obviously participate or prepare and anticipate crowd noise being a factor in the game as you can see it happen.
You talked in the offseason a lot about limiting turnovers. So through 3 games last year, 7 turnovers. Through 3 games this year, just 1. So obviously the emphasis is work. A play like Altmaier almost like spiking the ball on that 3rd down. Is that part of that plan of like, listen, the one thing that can go wrong here is if you see somebody breaking on the ball, you know, 3rd down, first pickup or not, you gotta not throw that pick.
There's probably, you know, 2 or 3 things that factor into it. Just awareness, right, as a football player. Like I thought Luke, there was an arrow route to the running back you're talking about. Yeah, he definitely made a decision to ground that. But also there's been some, you know, unique scenarios like he got a ball batted back to him, right, and he must not have liked that umpire because he took him out, you know. But like just very smart, headsy football player. Luke had to make both those decisions in less than, you know, a half a second, and he really did that. So I think those are great compliments to him. I think Barry and I would say Art Sikowski is heavily involved. And again, I sit into some QB meetings, just the confidence that he's speaking with. But what's really been fun for me is to listen to our other quarterbacks talk to him about preparing him for a game, because they're also preparing themselves for that moment, right? So I think that part's really good. And then, I think there's a little bit of, I've said it all along, right? You learn more through moments of adversity and do moments of success. And, you know, Luke unfortunately went through some moments last year that were hard to go through, right? For him personally, for us as a team, and to come out on the other side of it in a positive light is a true testament to him. But I'm just telling you, it goes through, you know, in the last, you know, probably, I would say 14 days, as we have success and there's players that aren't getting the opportunities that they feel that they can because the other guys are in front of them playing fairly well, that creates an atmosphere where people, if they want to become concerned about themselves and not concerned about the team as much, like that those can be hostile problems too.
Attention drivers. When it comes to your car, trust matters. That's why savvy drivers choose PDR Automotive for top-notch service and unbeatable quality. From routine maintenance to complex repairs, their team of expert technicians has the skill and experience to keep your vehicle running smoothly. At PDR Automotive, customer satisfaction is their priority, and they won't rest until your car is back on the road performing at its best. Visit PDR Automotive in Urbana today, family-owned and operated for more than 50 years. They're what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
At Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery, we're flooring people with amazing service, great design advice, and unbeatable selection and the best prices in town. It's the perfect time to update your home with waterproof flooring, carpet, hardwood, tile, and more. Then complete your rooms by shopping our incredible selection of furniture and accessories. We also offer great financing options. Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery, we're flooring people.
Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola sells Tempur-Pedic beds. What's it like?
I'm going to tell you right now, Stevie, that thing is the best thing I've ever slept on in my life. My wife and I both have said we've never had better night's sleep. And the people at Kelsey's were fantastic. Brian is the guy that helped us. You know, as much as I did my research, he had a world of knowledge about beds themselves. Oh, man, it's like sleeping on a cloud, man.
Kelsey Furniture, downtown Tuscola.
Do you have great customer service skills and cash handling experience? If so, Prospect Bank could be the place for you. Our Champaign branch is looking for a dedicated, hardworking, friendly employee to join our team. Does working at a dog-friendly bank with great benefits and competitive products and services sound like something for you? Come join me, Jason Bergner, Senior Vice President, and either continue or start your career in banking today. Visit our website at bankprospect.com and click on Careers to apply.
At Rocket, we're looking to truly understand how to better help first-time homebuyers. So we invited some to dinner to talk about their concerns of buying a home.
When you don't understand the process, you don't know what steps to take.
I need someone to hold my hand and need a friend.
Money is just scary to begin with.
There's so many question marks.
I wish there was like a home ownership coach out there, kind of like a life coach.
Things got real. That's when an expert from Rocket stepped in.
My name's Austin. I'm an executive at Rocket.
What?
This has been an amazing conversation. We're doing a lot, but we can do more just listening to you today.
It's just nice to know that somebody out there is making an effort for us. Cheers.
Cheers.
We know buying a home is scary. Get personalized guidance at every step of the home buying process. Call 800-4ROCKET.
Rocket Mortgage LLC, NMLS number 3030, NMLSConsumerAccess.org, Equal Housing Lender, licensed in all 50 states.
Here's the deal. When you combine State Farm home and auto insurance, you save an average of $889. State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow is ready to help you combine home and auto and save right here in Champaign-Urbana. Call 352-1411 today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Average annual per household savings based on a 2019 national survey by State Farm of new policyholders who reported savings by switching to State Farm.
Whether your project is below ground, above ground, or you're just breaking ground, United Rentals has the equipment and tools you need. They rent and sell everything from forklifts and backhoes to scissor lifts, trench shoring systems, and portable restrooms. They also offer a complete range of industrial tools for any job, small or large. Count on United Rentals for the world's largest rental fleet, backed by a team of equipment experts ready to help you get the job done. For the branch nearest you, visit UnitedRentals.com or call 800-UR-RENTS.
Cardinals fans, you'll be wanting this promotion for the winter ahead. The Cardinals will be hosting the Cleveland Guardians Sunday, September 22nd, and 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will take home their very own Cardinals winter hat thanks to Equifax. All fans entering with a ticket will also receive a 2025 magnet schedule at the gates, courtesy of our friends at Shelter Insurance. Prepare for the cold months ahead and plan your 2025 trips to the ballpark. That's Sunday, September 22nd. For tickets and more information, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
We all have a mission in life, something that drives us to explore, to grow, to love. And when we discover it, we're made whole. At OSF Healthcare, we want you to be the best you possible. We're here for you on your schedule to make your life just a little bit easier. Whatever your mission is, we're here to support it. Your life, our mission. Learn more at osfhealthcare.org/mission.
You're listening to WSJK.
Finishing up on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Brett was a little prickly today.
Yeah, he was. What's up with that?
I don't know.
Didn't sleep well last night.
Maybe watching the Bears.
Maybe he was watching, that or watching Nebraska, and he's like, oh, crap. Yeah, maybe he's a Bears fan. Well, he would be a Bears fan, right?
Potentially,
that's true. You never know with the NFL.
Yeah, true.
He grew up kind of.
He's a Patriots fan now. They worked for that organization.
Well, that's true.
They lost an OT yesterday.
Oh, no, they lost. That's right.
Seattle.
So they're 1-1 with an OT loss.
Yep.
The NFL was weird.
Man. It really was. It was off the rails. I needed the Ravens to come through. They did not, from my betting standpoint. The Raiders win in Baltimore. The Ravens are 0-2, and they go to Dallas this week.
Oh, my gosh.
Staring potentially 0-3 in the face. Dallas, on that note, gets hammered by the Saints. Comes out about an hour before kickoff that Marshawn Lattimore's out. I'm like, oh, well, I already thought that the Saints were kind of fraudulent.
Right.
And now their top corner, who was going to guard CeeDee Lamb, isn't going to play. This should be a Dallas smash spot. They get hammered.
And CeeDee still kind of had a game.
He did.
Yeah, I was telling you, and I'm going to rip on ESPN here that we're on, but, leading up to the NFL season, it's just Cowboys. Especially like, is it Harry and Canty or whatever? I turn that on, they're talking Cowboys. And I'm just like, so then they get demolished yesterday. I'm like, oh, now the storyline will be like, what's wrong with the Cowboys? So it's always a reason to talk Dallas. And my buddy Corey Witt, I tell him every time, I'm like, people just get tired of hearing about the Cowboys. That's why we hate you. I don't hate Corey. He's a good dude. I hate the Cowboys, and it's like, Enough. They're not very good.
You're either
So
going to
move
talk
on.
about how good they are, or you're going to talk about them in peril. So
Exactly. Yeah. So I'd
No
rather you
doubt.
talk about the Steelers. Hell.
Well,
and you know I
right on cue.
can't stand that. Uh-oh. Oh, did somebody text in?
Yeah, our buddy Dave just texted in and said, "My Steelers defense.
Amen.
Can't wait till Russ gets back." I would run with Fields until he loses.
I know. I mean, how do you tell a quarterback, hey, I know you're 3-0, or I know they're 2-0, but if he goes 3-0, let's say, or 4-0 even, how do you tell your quarterback,
Yeah.
like, hey, we're making a switch?
I know they're not asking a ton out of him right now.
Right.
He hasn't played the best of competition, but yeah, I mean they're getting it done. Whatever they got going right now is working. Another wild one, San Fran, as good as they looked against the Jets, then go to Minnesota and lose. And are the Vikings better than we thought?
Well, Sam Darnold, man, the resurgence. He's doing the Baker Mayfield.
I guess. And that defense to hold San Francisco to what? Under 20?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Justin Jefferson, by the way, is so good.
Unbelievable. And what, a 97-yard touchdown?
Yeah. Hey, what about the basketball kid?
Oh, Keaton Wagler. We talk about more about him tomorrow, but 4-star out of Kansas City area, 2025, took